On this episode of Watch Stuff With Us, more Mr. Ballen video reactions. Thanks for checking out another episode of Watch Stuff With Us. I'm JD.
I'm Katie.
And on this episode, we actually have a special guest.
Yes, we do.
Our special guest is none other than Stevia, one of our super fans. Like, she honestly has been the most interactive with us ever. Like, I've never talked to anybody more than I've talked to her besides Katie. So I'm so glad that she was able to join us tonight because she's the one that actually suggested we should do Mr. Ballen reaction video. So she actually suggested this one to us, and we are going to react to it in real time. So, Stevia, if you'd like to say hello to everybody, you can say hello to our 7 people who are watching right now, and the 7 others who are going to watch this after this is posted.
I'm actually going to say hello to a lot more people because I have a feeling that you guys will get a lot more views coming in the future. So I'm going to say hello to everyone, and I'm going to thank you again for having me on.
Of course.
Yes, for sure. For sure. All right. So
we're glad to have you.
Oh, definitely.
It's awesome.
Definitely. So the video that we are going to watch and react to is the top 3 photos with disturbing backstories. Apparently it says part 22. So he's done a lot of videos like this, and this one has 9,560,000.
Must be decent.
Yeah, must be good. And if it's not good, Stevia, we will have your head, just so you know.
I like his attire. He always looks like he's just like casual lumberjack.
Yeah, I know. Like,
he's actually an interesting guy. He's a former Navy SEAL.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
Interesting.
So he occasionally dabbles and tells his life, his stories about being in the Navy SEALs throughout his stories. So.
That's so cool.
Cool. All right. Well, we will get this started. So let me hit the play button and we will go.
Today, I'm going to share 3 progressively more disturbing stories, and at the end of each of them, I'm going to share the photo that is famously associated with them. But before we get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place because that's all we do, and we upload 2 or 3 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please become a
2 or 3 times every week. I need to get on this. I have some catching up to do.
We got a lot to watch.
Yes, I'm subscribing right after this.
Surgery accidentally perform a craniectomy on them. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications.
That sounds awful.
Right?
To miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories.
I'm not going to buy the flannel though. No, I'm good.
You can't go wrong with a good flannel though. I need to update my wardrobe. I need more flannel.
Just after midnight on May 18th, 1939, a crowd of people began to form outside of this unremarkable building in Versailles, which is a city in France. The atmosphere in this crowd was electric. They all knew why they were there. They knew what they were about to see, but even still, there was a lot of nervous anticipation. And so as such, some people were coping with these nerves by drinking alcohol and trying to laugh and have a good time, while others...
Drinking alcohol, trying to laugh and have a good time. Ha, 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 ha. That's how I cope with stress as well.
Myself in the face.
Yeah, that was good. You pulled it off good.
I don't think anybody would have noticed if I didn't call myself out on that.
Stevia, do you have a drink? Where's your drink?
It's lemonade.
Okay, that's cool. It counts. It counts. You can do better next time, but it counts.
I'll try.
Lemonade's good. Lemonade's good.
Good choice.
Were much more subdued and were trying to be respectful about what they were about to witness. Between 1 and 2 a.m., the doors of this unremarkable building opened up, and a group of men dressed in the same dark uniforms came out and didn't say a word to the crowd, and the crowd immediately went silent and began to back away from them. And this group of men, they walked right out in front of this building, and they had lumber and they had tools with them, and they began constructing this kind of strange wooden structure. And so the crowd, they wanted to get up close to see what these guys were doing, but at the same time, they didn't want to get too close. And so as the crowd...
Okay, question for Stevia. If you saw this going down, are you going to go get closer, or are you going to just stay on the backside and just kind of venture to look over the crowd and see what was going on? Are you one of those people who would like to get up close and personal and see what's going down?
Well, I guess it depends. I've already seen this one, so I'm gonna go ahead and say no. But I probably would. Want to see. Yeah, that's,
Me too.
it's
I'd be in the front with Stevia.
it's terrible. It's the terrible voyeur in me.
No, see, I'm the opposite. Nah, there's no way well, what's going on over there? Like, I'm not always the person who's gonna, unless it was my job. And you know, when we worked as teachers, like we had to run to the fight. But like I was always a person in high school, when I saw people fighting or I saw the crowd, like I was going the opposite direction. I don't want no parts of it. I'm not gonna be that person that got, you know, the awesome and amazing student athlete who got shot by a stray bullet. Like, no, that's not gonna be me. I'm not gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be the one that was going the other direction.
You're not gonna end up in a Mr. Ballen story.
Oh man. Yeah, no, that's not gonna be me.
Crowd formed a sort of half moon around these men. These men that were doing the constructing were moving so seamlessly. Like all of them had built this structure dozens of times before, and it was just muscle memory. And so by about 3 a.m., this structure was built, and they placed this large basket next to this structure. And then these men packed up their tools and the remaining pieces of lumber.
I'm with you, man.
Around, right outside the doors into the building, and were gone. At this point, the crowd had become quite sizable outside of this building, and they were growing kind of restless because they knew now that this structure was built, that the next time those doors open, the show is really going to start. This spectacle they are all there for, it's about to happen. And the crowd all knew that this event couldn't happen if the sun was up, because if the sun was up and the area was well lit, the press would be able to take pictures and film it. And that's not what officials wanted. They wanted this to happen.
Okay, so you want to do this in public, but you don't want anybody to film
Take a
it?
picture or anything.
Like that doesn't make sense.
Something's
if you're
off.
going to do something that you wanted to have secret, wouldn't you just do it in secret?
Yeah.
So sorry, I had to sneeze. My apologies. Couldn't hold that in anymore. Woo, it blew up.
Yeah, you would. Okay, but before we were so rudely interrupted.
My bad.
Yeah, I feel like I would try to do something like, I need to understand why they're doing this in public and why it's like going to be a spectacle. And I guess they're going to explain that.
Let's keep going.
Okay.
I'm hooked.
Happened in the darkness. But for whatever reason, things seemed to be getting delayed inside of this building. And so the crowd was just getting more and more restless. People are getting more and more drunk.
Thank you, Amanda.
Louder and more disruptive and boisterous. And then around 4:45 a.m., the sun had come up.
Exactly, Matt.
Full force with their cameras
We're
trained
not there.
at the door. So the crowd really at this point is not actually expecting this event to take place, because at this point it just seems totally unlikely. But at 4:50 a.m., those doors swung open, and standing in the threshold was 31-year-old Eugene Weidman, who was a convicted serial killer. His arms were tied behind his back, and the collar of his white shirt had been tucked down inside because they needed his neck to be free and clear, because he was about to be beheaded.
Oh, good Lord.
Guards on either side of Eugene, they pulled him forward out towards the crowd. So the executioners behind him, who were dressed all in black.
So they're making a guillotine, or they're making a ledge thing for them to hang him? I'm assuming guillotine.
Guillotine, yeah.
Oh, I call it guillotine. I don't know how to talk.
Towards the crowd.
You know what I mean.
For his execution, the crowd went wild. They were shrieking and howling. And
See, now I'd be in the back.
Yeah,
I would
like,
have slowly been moving myself away.
I don't want to see this. Like, I would have left. I wouldn't have been there. Okay, first off, like Matt said, there was no brothers there. Like, we not messing with that. Anytime you're trying to, like, take some people out, like, we've been through that enough.
That crowd was super white.
Yeah, we've been through that enough.
The black
That's
and
not
white
gonna
photos,
happen.
and they were all white.
Ain't gonna happen. So I understand that. But, like, yeah, I don't think my morbid curiosities would peak so much that I needed to be like, oh my God, here they're rolling it out. Here we go. Heads are gonna roll.
No, I would have been literally.
Yeah.
No, I would have been curious in the beginning, and then once I realized what was being built, I would have been like, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah. Stevia, are you hanging around once you know what's about to go down?
Well, I think the only reason they showed up was because they knew what was happening.
Yeah, you're right.
It could be,
You're
a
right.
common thing
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah. They knew a time to show up for the beheading. So,
Yep.
oh man,
twisted people though.
October 14th, 4:30 a.m. Beheading is kicking off. We got to go see this one. It's supposed to be a good one, so we got to go see this.
The newsboys go around knocking on doors there early in the morning. Make sure you're there.
You're right. Come to the beheading. Come to the beheading.
Right.
Wait, say that again.
But as long as you guys can live stream it.
Oh my God. I don't know if that goes with the YouTube policies for streaming. I'm guessing
it up our
doesn't.
viewers, but
Yeah,
we'd be more popular on YouTube. But
yeah, we would be popular on YouTube, but
might
I
be
don't think
short-lived on YouTube.
I don't think that I would want the people that would want to necessarily see that. So we'll see.
Log off now then.
Except for you. Except for you. You're good. You're good. You get the pass. It's the only one we're giving out today, though.
I get the beheading pass. Okay.
Yep, you get the pass.
It's very unique. You'll never get another one.
Man says I'll read about it in the France newspaper. Exactly. Yep, I'm gonna read about it the next day. I'm not gonna be there.
You'll be home.
I don't want them to accidentally bring me into it and like, oh, who's next? Oh, you look like you should be up here. Nope. They will pick me out the crowd too.
Crowd surf you to the front.
Yep. Nah. Not cool with that. Not cool.
Generally being rambunctious and totally bloodthirsty, Eugene kept his head down. He did not want to look at the crowd, and he did not want to look at the guillotine. So eventually the two guards turned him and walked him directly towards the base of the guillotine, at which point the executioners that had taken up their positions around this device, they grabbed him and slid him forward so he was on his stomach on top of this wooden platform, the guillotine, and they slid him forward until his head poked through this opening at the very far end, at which point his neck was positioned right under this huge blade that was dangling right above him, and his head was positioned over a metal bucket on the ground, which he would be looking directly at. At this point, the crowd was at a fever pitch, and one of the executioners pulled a lever. The blade came soaring down, and it removed his head. His head fell into the bin, and the executioners pushed his torso into the basket that had been placed out there earlier. And then the executioners and the prison guards, they gathered up Eugene's body parts and went right back inside of the building, which was a prison. At this point, the crowd was cheering and going wild, and they ran up and began dabbing their scarves and their handkerchiefs in Eugene's blood, which was
Okay,
that's twisted.
Okay, now you took it to a whole different level. Now you just went to a different level. Like it's one thing to be witness to something like
be a
this.
bystander and watch
And especially, if this is a bad person, I understand that some people would not mind seeing that person. Would not mind seeing that person die. But when you are like running at a fevered pitch to go like dab up some of his blood, like that's a whole different level. Stevie, you got something to say?
No, I totally agree with you. That takes it to like watching, and whether or not I would actually want to do that in real life, watch it in real life, that's debatable. But I would definitely not be sopping up the blood. And no.
Yeah.
If you got a bloody scarf, Stevie, in your closet, don't ever pull it out. Don't ever pull it out. don't ever pull it out. Man said, "I'm through." Yeah, I'm kind of through too. But we gonna finish this.
I'm so curious. That's some twisted cult stuff, though.
As a sort of souvenir
Sadist.
at this execution. And of course, because the sun had been out for this entire spectacle, all of this had been captured on film. So later that day and for the next couple of days,
Makes sense why they didn't want anybody filming and taking photos then.
This bloodthirsty crowd that was cheering as this man was beheaded, and it just overall made France look.
There's the newspaper for your friend Matt.
So France decided that from that point forward, they could no longer do any more public executions. So the guillotine would continue to get used for decades beyond this point, but it was all behind closed doors. Also, random fact about being beheaded by a guillotine, your head, after it's been separated from your body, stays conscious for about 10 to 12 seconds, so they say. And apparently there's been lots of cases where the executioner, after the condemned has had their head removed, will yell the name of the person who has just had their head removed. And that person's head will look over at the person calling to them and will blink or try to mouth words for several seconds before the lack of oxygen kills the brain and then the head is no longer conscious. Here are some of the more...
Like, okay,
No.
like,
No.
like, okay, it was cool and interesting, but like that part creeped me out. That really creeped me out. Yeah, that's scary, man. That's scary.
Mad, you've lost your head. You want to say something, and you can't say anything. Like,
I know. Oh,
You just turn your head and you go, shit.
yeah, right. And I mean, like, and this is definitely like this was a thing for centuries where people
Right.
would be beheaded like this in public.
Whoever
So,
came up with this idea that was very twisted.
well, I would think the reason that they did it was because they wanted it to be like a preventative measure for other people. Like, don't get any smart ideas about being a
this is what
killer.
happens.
This is what's gonna happen. You don't want to be
Yeah.
up here next. So I could see that, but man, that little detail at the end was like the most. Like, I got chills just thinking about that. Like,
I mean, I know a chicken like runs around after his head's chopped off, but I didn't know
They do.
we turn our heads and blink and try to say stuff still. That'd be a long
right.
12 seconds.
Okay, you got some credit for that one, Stevia. That was a good one.
oh, they get worse. Don't worry.
Oh no, I'm so intrigued though.
All right, yep.
It's so gross, but I'm intrigued.
Let's be brave. We'll keep going.
Or notable pictures that were used in the media from Eugene Weidman's execution.
Dang, these actual pictures, man. That's crazy.
Oh god, are they gonna have his head? Okay, they didn't have his head in a basket. Whew!
His head in a basket. Here's him trying to talk right here. Like, oh
They always
god.
pick them up by their hair too.
I know.
Like, here's the head.
Okay. All right, Magic Elixir. Let's do this. It can't be as bad as that one. Can't be.
In the early 1900s, Eben Byers was a man who other people envied. He was born into a very wealthy family in New York City. He attended Yale University in Connecticut, which is a very prestigious
No, he didn't.
university, and he was devilishly handsome. After his college graduation, he didn't need a job because his family was so rich, and so instead he focused his time on a passion of his, which was golfing. And in time, he became this world-class golfer, going so far as to win the 1906 U.S. Amateur Tournament, which is the biggest amateur golf tournament in the world that most of the winners go
I
on.
didn't know they had him
to
back in
become
1906.
golfers.
That's way
And
back.
so Eben most likely would have followed that path and become a pro golfer had his father not just handed over the very successful metalworking business that he started that made his family wealthy in the first place. And so Eben stopped his golf career and became the chairman of this incredibly successful company. And so overnight, he basically went from being just rich to being uber rich, making more money than he could possibly spend. But Eben did attempt to spend his money. He pretty much immediately began buying up luxury properties all over the country. He bought horse racing stables in the United Kingdom and in America, and he bought an entire luxury box at Forbes Field, which is where the Pittsburgh Pirates professional baseball team used to play.
It's pretty good use of this money.
Owning all these incredible things, Eben also, through his role as chairman of this company, began connecting with and befriending very powerful and influential people like the founders and executives at the Coca-Cola Company. And so all in all, Eben's life was really going quite well until 1927. That year, Eben was 47 years old, and he took some time off from gallivanting around the world and rubbing shoulders with famous people to go catch a football game at his alma mater at Yale University. So he hops on a train, he rides to Connecticut, he watches this game, and then afterwards he gets back on the train to head back to Pittsburgh. And this is a very long ride. It's over 12 hours long. And so Eben naturally bought a first-class ticket. And so he was inside of a train car that had bunk beds for passengers to sleep on during the ride. So Eben climbed into a top bunk and he fell asleep. A few hours later, after the train is well on its way to Pittsburgh, Eben, in his sleep, manages to roll to the side of the bed and actually falls out of his bed onto the ground. He lands hard on his left side, it wakes him up, and as he stands up, he thinks he's okay, but then he feels this shooting pain in his left arm. He's moving his arm around, he's not really sure what's wrong with it, but he's hoping it's just some bruising, and so he decides to get back into his bunk and just go back to sleep. So he manages to fall asleep despite the pain, and then when they roll into the station in Pittsburgh, iceberg several hours later, he wakes up and right away he feels that pain in his left arm. And so after getting off the train and going back to his house and dropping off his luggage, he went right to his physical therapist's office to ask him if there was anything he could do to help with the pain in his arm. And so the physical
Yeah, no, I guess they did. But I mean, everybody's had those situations where you have some pain and you just kind of like let it go. I wonder how severe this was. So I mean,
if he was able to go back to sleep though with it,
right,
it shouldn't be that bad.
right,
But...
shouldn't be that bad. But I'm guessing that like we're gonna learn that he had like half an arm at this point or something like that, and mutated into
crocodiles got him.
Yep, damn crocodiles. But let's keep going.
Therapist examines Eben's shoulder and determines that there's no structural damage to his
Determines
arm.
it's gone.
But obviously,
Right.
Eben is in pain, and so he says, "Look, there's a new product that came online that's quite expensive, but since you're a man of means, maybe it's something you want to consider. It's called Radathor, and it's supposed to dull aches and pains, and it's supposed to give you this huge boost of energy. And so, maybe you want to try that." And so Eben was really excited at the notion of taking this.
I don't like the name.
No, I was gonna say, for some reason the name already has me like, no.
I don't like the name.
Radathor, like,
Radathor.
is he gonna turn into a rat that looks like Thor?
Thor rat, yes. I hope so. If this story ends with him turning into a Thor rat, then it's awesome. But I'm guessing that's not what's going to happen.
Spoilers.
Right?
Yeah, let's do it. And so his physical therapist wrote him a prescription for Radathor. Eben took the prescription and he went to the drugstore. He picked up a half-ounce bottle of this liquid. He went back to his house, and as prescribed, he drank a very small spoonful of this liquid. And right away, he felt this surge of energy. The pain in his arm started to fade. All the things this health tonic.
I mean, it was tempting. I'd like some.
It was doing. So over the next couple
Don't
of
do
days, Eben very diligently every day took the prescribed amount, a very small spoonful of this Radathor, and every day he felt better and better and better. Not just the pain in his arm, but overall, he felt happier, he felt fitter, he felt alive, and he was attributing all those feelings to this miracle tonic. And so he began taking more and more of this tonic, well beyond what was prescribed, to the point where he was drinking 3 full bottles of Radathor every single day. And so for years.
Okay.
No.
Now we see where he messing up, because if you just took the prescribed dosage, which is like looks like maybe a quarter or a half of a teaspoon, you probably would be okay and you won't turn into Radathor. But he was drinking 3 bottles of this stuff.
Dude.
Like, yeah, see, went over the top. Like, everything is cool in moderation, bruh.
You can't
in
even
moderation.
finish like a bottle of Robitussin in a day. Like, that'd mess you up. Like, how do you have this Radathor stuff that I'm sure is like,
right? That's about to turn him into Radathor.
I know.
I already know.
Or
like,
a Radathor, I guess how it's spelled.
Yeah.
He'd be a pretty cool guy.
Well, Thor kind of is rad right now.
Yeah, I know. Maybe this is where Thor came from. Not
Is this an origin story for the MCU?
He didn't come from up in the heavens. He came from this
Dude,
medicine.
that would be awesome. That would be awesome. It's just Father Odin. That's all I need to know.
He did this. It was all going great until his jaw fell off. Literally, in 1931, one day, his lower jaw just separated from his skull and went slap. And so the reason this happened was because Radathor was actually just radioactive water. In the early 1800s, the radioactive element, radium, was believed to have highly curative properties with no side effects. And so naturally, at the time, dozens of health products were created with radium being their main ingredient. And Radathor was one of those products. It was literally just water and radium. And so after consuming...
I mean, it says radioactive water on the bottle, man.
Right. You should have thought of it.
Read the bottle!
Read your labels, folks.
Good Lord.
Read your labels. I don't know what's in Tylenol, and I'll take it. So I should probably follow my own.
But I mean, if it said radioactive...
Right. When they come out with that new green Tylenol, I'm not taking it, though. I'm not taking it.
Scary.
Of Radathor over a 3-year period, Eben's body was finally just starting to disintegrate from the inside out.
But you probably couldn't feel it, though, because it
Right.
felt high or whatever.
Large portions of his upper jaw, the rest of his body also just began to crumble. And so by the end of 1931, when his story was making headlines all around the world about the dangers of Radithor and really more specifically the dangers of radium, Eben had become completely bedridden and his skull was now beginning to disintegrate. There were holes forming all over his skull that were exposing portions of his brain.
Oh,
so
no.
in 1932, Eben was dead. Eben was buried in Pittsburgh, and he was buried inside of a lead-lined coffin that was designed to absorb any of the radiation emitting from his bones. And then 30 years after he was buried, so in 1965, scientists actually exhumed his skeleton to see if it was still emitting radiation. And they determined it was still emitting the same levels of radiation as when he died. And they actually would ultimately figure out that radium, this radioactive element, has a half-life of 1,600 years. So what that means is Eben's body will remain highly radioactive for centuries. Here is a picture of Eben with his jaw surgically removed. It was taken shortly before he passed away.
Whoa, dang. I take it he wasn't really talking too much after that either. I mean, unless he just speaks on.
Like that gives me like, yeah, like I feel okay. I get why these are popular, but I feel uncomfortable just like seeing that. Like the fact that, and it's not the fact that his jaw is gone like that. It's the fact that this man is still alive. Like he's still alive like that. Like he's looking around like that.
He needed the guillotine at this point.
Man,
like,
for real.
Just be done.
For real.
That's how I felt though a couple weeks ago.
Where's this doctor?
After my tonsillectomy, I felt like I was like lost my face.
Stevia, what happened to the doctor? Did the doctor? I'm asking you. You need to know this.
I'm not sure. Maybe he tells it in the rest of the story. I don't think so because I don't think it was illegal at the time. So, and because he was using it, he wasn't really. I don't know.
I'm curious how many people was he prescribing it to though?
Right.
Like, were there more like this, or were they okay because they were only taking a little bit and maybe like only used one bottle over like a few months?
Right.
I don't think that at any point taking in radium is ever a good idea in the smallest of doses. But I don't know. Like they said, he came from a very wealthy family. So he might have had opportunities to get, what was cutting edge at the time.
Right.
And it was just wrong.
Yeah.
And
I mean, and Matt, please don't leave. please keep watching. I know we're doing a lot, but please keep watching. But that I feel like the whatever curative effects. I mean, and obviously there weren't any long-term studies on radium at this point. I can't keep
looking at the screen right now. It's so disturbing.
Yeah, obviously there weren't any long-term studies going on at this point in time, but.
Right.
I want to know, like, what was the short term, like, why did he experience these short term benefits from it? Like, I want to know more about radium, I guess, as opposed to necessarily knowing more about this story.
Right. Yeah, there's plenty of stories out there. I think there's actually a show coming, called The Radium Girls. It was about watchmakers, because at the time they used radium to make glow-in-the-dark watches, and the ladies would paint it on, but they would lick the paintbrush to make it pointy.
Oh no.
They would have effects from that, and I believe I saw there's a show coming out regarding that issue.
That's crazy.
I want to watch it.
I know. That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh, but we're going to watch the rest of this just so we can get off of this picture real quick. Man. Oh, okay. Well, we're going into the last one. All right.
Unless this is no better, then we'll just go back to the picture.
Right. We might need to go back to that picture at the end of this, because this is a lot. This is
nightmare fuel.
Stevie, I wonder what type of person you are if you're watching all these. Lily, you too. I'm kind of wondering about your character if you like watching this stuff, because this is a lot. This might give nightmares, man. Like,
this was a nightmare fuel.
I feel like I might have a nightmare tonight, and I'm blaming you guys already. So It's your fault.
Don't wake me up.
There is still some debate about what exactly happened in this story that I'm about to share with you. And so for transparency, in this...
Okay, what was that about a nudist? What was his info? Something about a nudist. I'm gonna have to watch that video.
I think it said like
off stream.
a nudist terrifies a colony or something.
Yeah,
Watch it. So it was like a link that popped up. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that one off stream or something.
Yeah, like a nudist would terrify anybody if they went to represent the new beach.
Right.
Well, that was maybe where I got on the stream.
Oh, okay.
Ah, see,
So
I
glad
knew
you
it.
heard and put on a shirt.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you.
That's why I was late. Sorry.
Yeah. Yep. We understand. And we thank you. And we thank you.
This video, I am going to rely on the narrative that was presented in court by the defendant. So with that in mind, here we go. On the afternoon of December 3rd, 2012, a freelance photographer working for the New York Post newspaper named Umar Abbasi was walking down the stairs of the 49th Street subway station in New York City. This very busy station is located only a few blocks away from the very famous Times Square. And so after Umar made his way down to this underground subway station, he walked over to one of the big automated kiosks that looks like an ATM.
We saw one of those last
Subway
night.
Ticket, and then with his ticket, he walked over to the turnstiles. He slid his ticket through the slot, pushed past the turnstiles, and was now standing out on the actual train platform. And from where Umar was standing, this platform basically was like a huge sidewalk that stretched all the way to his right a couple hundred feet and all the way to his left a couple
As they
hundred feet.
generally are.
And in front of this platform were the actual tracks down below, because the train, when it came out of the tunnel, it would actually come right up alongside this platform with
As they
almost
do.
no
As they do,
clearance
right.
between the platform and the train. As
Yes.
such, the leading edge of the platform, basically the lip of the train platform that's closest to the train tracks, has this big yellow line painted all across it to keep.
Okay,
it does.
this is all just normal stuff right now. I'm cool with this video.
I mean,
It's
we've
not
been to
bad.
Chicago.
This is not bad. This is, I'm not getting why this is disturbing so far.
Because if the train came through, they could actually get hit by the train. And
Right.
so as Umar is standing on this platform and he's looking left and right,
I won't
he's
either,
totally
Matt.
crowded with people, and they're all kind of tucked back against the wall away from this yellow line. And so Umar decides he's going to turn right and wait at the right end of the platform. Just because he saw down at the far end, there appeared to be a gap in people, and he figured he could stand right there. And so Umar begins navigating past all of these people on the right side of the platform, and for the most part, everyone he is passing either has their head buried in their phone, or they're listening to music, or both. Because the thing about riding trains, especially trains in busy cities, is none of the commuters want to talk to anybody else. They want to be completely left alone. And so as Umar is walking, everyone was basically doing that. But at some point, he did pass two people that were engaged in a pretty heated conversation. Umar had no idea what they were arguing about, or if they were even arguing at all. He didn't know who these people were, but
Just mind your business, sir. Just
Yeah,
mind your
don't
business.
get involved. Just keep going.
Just keep it moving.
he
Keep
took
it moving.
mental note of the fact that two men were kind of bickering with each other. So he walked past them, didn't give it much of a second thought, and he arrived at a
Good job making all the right choices so far, bro. Good job.
gap in the gaggle of people waiting for the train, and there he
Gaggle.
just stood well back of the yellow line, where he pulled out his camera and began clicking through the images he had taken earlier in the day at an earlier photo shoot. And so as he's clicking through these pictures, he starts to notice that those two men who had been bickering before are now straight up.
Let me guess. He takes a picture of them,
Right before
each
one of
other.
them dies.
It's not clear who's fighting about what, or who
and
is
then they
the
kill
aggressor.
him.
Okay.
Steal his
This is
camera.
my guess. Nope. This is my guess. He's gonna be the person who caught a picture of like this person getting pushed in front of the train, and like the picture is gonna have the train coming, and it's gonna have the guy like in the air like this, right before he gets hit. That's my guess.
My guess is they're gonna think he's taking pictures of them, and they're gonna push him in front of the train
Oh.
before or after one of them goes in front of the train.
Wow. Okay.
We'll
All
see.
right. Yep. We'll see.
But it's very obvious that at this point they're fighting. And so Umar looked away from his camera and looked left down the platform towards these two guys. And so these two guys are about 100 to 125 feet away from him. And all the people that were standing in the vicinity of these two men are beginning to migrate away from them. They just don't want anything to do with them. Because the thing about being in subways, especially in cities like New York, is there's lots of people that go down into these train stations that are inebriated or mentally unstable. And so very strange and bad behavior is just kind of a normal thing, and people tend to just kind of ignore it. And so that's what's happening. People are kind of walking away from these two fighting men, doing their best to pretend it's not happening. And so Umar spent a couple more seconds staring down the platform at these two men, but eventually just shrugged and thought, you know what, whatever problems they have, they're not mine. And so Umar went back to his camera and continued to click through his pictures, when all of a sudden he hears a scream coming from the left side of the platform. But it was not a scream that sounded like it came from either of these two men. And so Umar looked up from his camera and looked left down the platform, and now he just sees chaos. It's people running away from these two men. People are running to get away from whatever is happening around them. And so Umar's thinking these men must have come to blows, and they're now fighting actively, physically with each other. But when finally the crowd kind of cleared for a second, he saw a woman pointing down at the train tracks right in front of where those two men had been standing. And so Umar looks at the woman and he follows her finger down onto the tracks, and he sees there is now a man, one of the two men who had been fighting, laying face down on the train tracks. And then, to Umar's horror, he looks up down the tunnel where the train would come out of, and he sees the headlights of the train. It is now coming into the station. And so Umar starts running down the platform to try to get to this man.
What'd you say?
I was saying, like, it's a jump to get down there to where the tracks are. Like, you can't just like step down and pick somebody up. Like, you have to like take yourself down there and like hoist them up. Like, it'd be more than, it's more than one person. You can't just like take them by the arm and pull them back up on the ledge.
All right, Stevia, are you going to save them or save that guy, or are you just going to watch whatever's going to happen?
I lived in New York, so you don't mess with people in the subway.
Yep, I could see that.
Business.
I could see that. Yeah,
we're close to Chicago, so we've seen it too.
Yeah.
No, we were just in Chicago last night too, and there's a lot of people who we didn't talk to. let's keep it like that. Oh man.
Pulled him out of the tracks, and as he's running, he pulls out his camera and he turns the flash on and he holds the shutter down and he aims it at the train conductor to hope the flashing of his camera will alert the train conductor to put on the emergency brake and stop the train before he hits this guy down on the tracks. And so as Umar is running, trying to signal this train conductor, the man down on the tracks tries to stand up, and Umar sees he's really struggling to stand, and when he finally gets up, he turns and he grabs the edge of the platform and he tries to pull himself up and out of the tracks, but he doesn't have the strength or the coordination. And as Umar is getting closer and closer, but he's still too far away to help, he sees that this guy down on the tracks is not going to be able to get out of there before the train hits him. And so Umar finally comes to a stop and he watches as this man down on the tracks lets go of the lip of this platform and just turns and faces the train like he knows what's about to happen. And then seconds later, the train, although it did try to stop, impacted this man and killed him instantly. The man's name was Kai-Suk Han, and he was 58 years old. When the police finally showed up, they arrested the other man who Han had been fighting with. He was a 30-year-old named Naeem Davis, and Davis would actually tell police that he had been fighting with Han and he had pushed him onto the tracks, but it was in self-defense. However, that self-defense story didn't stop him from being charged with murder. While Davis sat in jail waiting for...
Had a feeling that was going to happen as soon as they showed it was a brother. But still, like, yeah, that's a...
Whether or not it's self-defense, though, the other guy wouldn't have anything to say, defend himself.
Yeah.
So
kind of hard.
But they still sent him to jail anyway. I mean, even if it had been self-defense.
Right. Yeah.
His trial, the media and the public at large had already come to the conclusion that Davis was guilty. And this was due in large part to a particular picture. As Umar was running down the platform, holding up his camera, holding the flash down, trying to flag the train conductor to get him to stop, Umar was also taking dozens and dozens of pictures. Those pictures were of Han right before he was struck by the train. And so after Umar ultimately discovered he had taken these pictures, he gave them to his employer, the New York Post newspaper.
Of course.
And the day after the incident, they ran on the front page a picture of Han right before he's about to be killed.
Oh my God, why would you do that?
Doomed. And so once the public saw this picture, nobody could believe that Davis was anything other than a cold-blooded killer for pushing this poor innocent man onto the tracks. But as it would turn out, nearly 5 years later, when Davis did finally get his trial, He was acquitted of all charges because it turned out Han was very drunk and had picked a fight with Davis, and Davis was filmed on more than one occasion on the platform trying to get Han to leave him alone. And so finally, after Han began making death threats and then grabbed Davis's shoulder, Davis turned around and pushed him, and Han, being drunk, stumbled and fell backwards onto the tracks and then was ultimately killed. Here is the infamous photo of Han on the cover of the New York Post newspaper.
What kind of article is that, though? Oh my God, that's a horrible article.
Yeah, like
the picture in the title. What is this?
Okay, Stevia, you're our New York our New York correspondent. So please explain this, please.
It's the New York Post, so
that sums it up.
So yeah, doesn't the the New York Post is sort of known for doing more salacious type stuff, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like I still feel like that's like extremely morbid to have on a cover.
I would be mad if I was the family. But you know, that's my take on it.
Yeah,
this is like before like clickbait stuff on the internet came up. Like that's one of those things you want to read it. I mean, it's a good seller, but man, see that's what I'm saying though. Or he didn't do it, but they're gonna accuse him of doing it because he's the only one that was there. So I had two theories, and one of mine was right.
Yep. My theory was right too. I thought he was gonna be like in midair, about to get hit, but I mean, obviously he was, still down there, but struggling to get up. Like, man,
that other guy though. I mean, 5 years in prison before they realized it wasn't his fault. Like, why does it take so long to get some pictures out? That's not fair.
We not even gonna get into that. That's a whole different show. That's a whole different show. We not getting into that show. This is why stuff with us, not anything else. So
not debate racism.
Yeah, we're gonna try to keep it light on this one. But yeah, that picture is that's rough to look at, man, and to know that like seconds later that person was killed instantly, like that's hard. It sort of reminds me of I made the mistake in college of watching.
Did you hold them in a train track?
No,
God.
no. I made the mistake of watching one of the Faces of Death movies. Have you heard of those before? Have you heard of those, Stevia?
I said that. As soon as you said what it was, I knew exactly what you were talking about because I didn't see that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them too, and there are it's basically videos of people dying and like the things that set up them dying, and like it was super hard to watch.
I haven't seen these, and now I need to.
No, oh God, I regret watching it. Like I still remember one of them. Like one of the ones that I watched was this guy. He was a magician.
Oh yeah, one of the Mr. Ballen stories.
Is it really?
If it's the same story.
Okay, here's what it was. It was a guy. He was a magician, and he was like doing some trick where he had like this board thing above his head with like nails or spikes or something sticking out of it, and basically there was a rope attached to it, and the rope was under a candle. And the candle was supposed to burn the rope, and eventually the rope would snap and drop that thing down. The guy, the magician, was in a straitjacket. So he had to get out of the straitjacket first, undo a lock, and then be able to get up and get away. Needless to say, for whatever reason, he couldn't get out of it. And it was like video of the thing like dropping and hitting this guy and like killing him. And it was just like, dude, like I said, and I went to college like 20 years ago. Like it still has stuck with me. Like I can still see like that image in my head, and like I don't like watching stuff like that because it does stick with me.
I've seen videos like that too.
Like I don't like stuff like that. Some people do. I get it, and it's I guess it's understandable to some degree to be curious about things like that, but
once
those
you
type
see
of things
sticks and gives you nightmares.
Right. And I can think of other things that happened in that same movie. And like I said, that was 20 years ago, saw it once and was like, nah, I'm good. And like I said, there are tons of them. They're like at least a dozen Faces of Death movies. And I'm like, that's one thing we will not be doing a watch stuff with us on is those movies. That is not going to happen.
Can I actually answer a question that you asked way earlier in the video?
Yes.
Anything.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so you asked about shows.
Mm-hmm.
I have a show that I really want to recommend to the two of you.
Okay.
Okay.
The new AMC Plus Interview with the Vampire.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we talked about that.
We talked about it. That was one of the ones that we were definitely considering. I saw a review of the first episode and it said that it was good. I didn't read it, like, because I was like, I'm gonna have to talk to Katie about this and see if we're like,
Oh,
if this
I'm
is
open
one that
to
we
it.
can do.
Have either of you seen the movie?
No.
I have not seen the movie.
I've heard
either.
about it, but I
know,
have not seen it.
Yeah. Okay, should we watch the movie first?
You don't have to, but I think you should, just because. Yeah, I think you should.
Isn't that like Brad Pitt and
Yeah, I don't want to spoil
Tom
anything.
Cruise? Like,
Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Antonio Banderas, Chris Slater. What's Kirsten Dunst?
That's a great cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm open to it. Yeah, let's watch that tomorrow.
All
Not on here, but we'll watch it tomorrow, and then we'll watch the. We can watch.
Yeah,
the other
what
thing,
we
and
need to
discuss it prior.
Okay,
to.
first let's end this first, and then we'll talk about that.
Plan our future.
Yes. Well.
The future that we'll have that this poor man will not.
Yeah. No.
Oh, dark.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for watching this video with us. This was I understand now why Mr. Ballen is very popular. I like the way he tells his stories.
Yeah, I'm subscribing right after this.
Yeah, it is kind of disturbing,
curious.
but it's also interesting. And like, I don't know if I could watch this necessarily right before I go to bed, but in the middle of the day, if I can have some happiness afterwards, I might be able to watch.
I'd be rolling video to video to video. Like, I don't know that I'd stop for a few hours.
Yep. So I have a nightmare tonight, Stevia. I am blaming you for this, just so you know, and so you understand how it's gonna go.
I might be a little crabby too, because I have to deal with it. If you start screaming in this sleep.
Right. If I start clutching for my head, like, oh, I lost my head. Like, yeah, if I wake up like that, it's your fault, Stevia. So we're blaming you.
I'll be crying I'll be crying next to her going, my jaw.
You got just the heads will roll. Like,
yeah. Well,
oh man.
Stevia, thank you so much for hanging out with us for this video. You shall not be a stranger with us. Like, whenever you want to come on,
absolutely,
you have an open pass to come and hang out with us. So thank you very much for joining us.
I appreciate it, and it's been awesome. And just to clarify, I am not a nudist.
If you were, we still accept you.
Yes.
It's okay. And thank you for putting a shirt on to go live with us. We accept, so we don't get taken down.
We accept you with clothes on. Without clothes, not so much.
I accept you without clothes on the other side of the camera.
Yeah.
well, we're not just like throwing it on YouTube and getting banned.
Wait, what did you say?
I just said I'm so glad I actually got to talk to you guys like face to face.
Yes, for sure, man. For
we're
sure.
so glad to see your face.
Yes.
You're so cute.
And we're
come back again.
Yes, we are glad that you were able to come on. And yeah, don't be a stranger. If there's ever a topic or something that we're talking about, like, you are an honorary member of the show. So just let us know. And you have my Twitter contact information.
Yes.
If there's ever something going on, just hit me up. I'm like, hey, you should do this, and we will have you on for sure.
When we do Interview with a Vampire, we can bring her back too.
Oh, please.
Yeah. We'd love to.
Okay, we will do that. We will do that for sure. We will do that for sure.
Try to figure out how I get out of this thing. All right.
All right. Thanks, Stevia.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. So.
Oh, she's adorable. I love her.
Yes, I do too. I
loved her before I officially saw her, but
right.
Aw,
how awesome!
Sweetest.
How awesome! But yeah, thank you so much for checking out this episode of Watch Stuff with us. If you liked it, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you're notified each and every time we go live. And I think we're going to do more Mr. Ballen videos. So,
oh my gosh, his videos are amazing.
Yeah,
we'll just have to get some of the more recent ones, maybe.
Yeah, I know.
So
that was
we can
pretty
beat
good.
some people to them.
Yeah, for sure, and react to them before everybody else does. So, thanks for watching it. Later.